Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you would never ask, Heidi. It is Thursday, February the 17th. It's National Random Acts of Kindness Day.
Okay.
That is one of my favorite things, by the way. To just kind of go and help somebody that wasn't expecting it, do something they weren't expecting you to do, not because you owe it to them, not because of any reason other than just because.
Yeah.
So it's a good deal. And I think it's cool there's a day for it. Also, National Cabbage Day. And what more is there to say about that? Not much. It is also a Thursday, which means we have a Dear John letter. Our Dear John letter today, I'm actually excited to see what Heidi has to say about this. I've got my speech ready to go. I'm ready to say it. You can chime in. It's a young lady who was expecting to be proposed to on Valentine's Day, and it didn't happen. There's been some good advice online. And I bet Heidi's going to have some good advice, but I think my advice is going to be really, really, really good. I'm excited for it. It's coming up. Again, that is a Dear John letter. You can chime in at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
At bettercreditcards.com, our mission is to help you get a better credit card. Why pay more interest than you need to? We have cards with amazing points and perks. If you're not a point person and just want the lowest interest rate, you can find those too at bettercreditcards.com. You can also find credit cards designed to help you build your credit. BetterCreditCards.com wants to help you get a better credit card. Give yourself a little credit at BetterCreditCards.com. That's BetterCreditCards.com.
Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. More than half of us believe we have a $1 million idea tucked away in the back of our brain. Do you think you have one, Heidi? $1 million idea?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I have a $1 billion idea. A $1 trillion idea. Okay, maybe none of that. A survey delving into the increasing shift toward entrepreneurship found 59% of adults have considered quitting their job to launch their own business. The survey of 2,000 people found that 2/3 of respondents think they would be successful entrepreneurs. Online content creation is the most popular type of business that people dream of launching. Over half, 51%. So it'd be like being a blogger or a YouTuber or an Instagram, what do they call that? Social influencer, one of those things. Selling products online came in at 49%, followed by providing a service virtually, 49%, in-person business, 46%, and opening a brick and mortar store, 39%. When asked, what's keeping you from taking the leap? A third point to fear. 37% say they lack the financial means.
I was just going to say is money.
Yeah, 3 and 5 are already ahead of the game by saying they have a side hustle or they're seriously ready to launch one now. So there you go. Surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com.
It's Bernie Carrick, former New York City Police Commissioner. If you own a gun, you need to check out StopBoxUSA.com, the safest solution to keep a firearm in your home and get instant, reliable access to that gun. It's an awesome weapon retention product, especially if you have little kids at home or frequent visitors. Get access to your gun in under a second. StopBox is the safest solution to keep a firearm in your home.
Use discount code RADIO to save 10% at StopBoxUSA.com.
You need to check out StopBoxUSA.com.
Now, did you know? Brought to you by GMDvacations.com. Heidi, did you know? This is why they call it the doghouse. When a couple fights, sometimes instead of, talking it out, they need a little time away from each other. And there's a little saying, oh, you're gonna go to the doghouse.
Yeah.
You ever heard that?
Oh, yes.
The phrase typically comes into play when somebody's punished for a serious transgression that warrants a timeout. But the meaning of the doghouse, where did that come from? Well, it turns out the first known reference to a partner heading to the doghouse was 1911 in a classic children's novel that you've probably heard of, Peter Pan.
Okay.
In the story, you may recall, the Darling family had a dog, Nana. It was customary at the time that Nana lived in a kennel, a.k.a. doghouse, a small shelter in the yard built in the shape of a house. When a remorseful Mr. Darling blamed himself for his children getting kidnapped by Dr. Hook, he consigns himself to the doghouse.
Okay.
So that's where that comes from.
Very interesting.
Now you know. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by channelsurfertv.com. I've never seen Downton Abbey, but your aunt is a big fan of that, right? Downton Abbey?
Yes, even my brother actually.
Too. Yeah, a lot of folks. I know a lot of people like it. They're going to have to wait a little longer now. Focus Features has pushed back the release date of Downton Abbey, A New Era, by 2 months. The sequel will now be released May 20th. It was originally scheduled to come out in March. Plot details for the film have been sparse. Writer says Lady Mary continues to run Downton as the mother of the next Earl of Grantham. So I don't know who any of those people are, or if I said any of those names right. Have you ever seen the movie Fight Club? Yeah, I've seen it. If you ever watch it in China, it's a little different. Fight Club in China has a totally different ending. At the end of the classic movie, Edward...
I actually heard about
this. Did you? Edward
did.
Norton's character kills his imaginary alter ego and then watches multiple buildings explode. That cuts to the heart of the film's message. So I'm not exactly sure why more than 20 years after the film was released that they decided to do a makeover. In the new version of the film, they're saying the narrator...
It makes the government look like they were the good guys is what...
Oh, is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay.
It changes the whole narrative.
Replaced with the black screen and the words, the police rapidly figure out the whole plan and arrest all the criminals, successfully preventing the bomb from exploding.
Yep.
And it adds that Tyler's a figment of the narrator's imagination, was sent to a lunatic asylum.
Yep.
Okay. Well then, it's a whole different movie. Big screen, little screen, brought to you by channelsurfertv.com.
The Vegas Travel Center is offering 3 days and 2 nights accommodations to Vegas. They'll completely waive the package price. Plus, you get tickets to your choice of activities as well as meals. Jump on this now. Obviously, a deal like this isn't going to last. When they're gone, they're gone. So don't miss out. Just call 605-210-5220 and they'll get you set up for a great getaway. Call now for this special radio offer. 605-210-5220. That's 605-210-5220.
Now your scoop of the day comes your way, courtesy of BetterCreditCards.com. Frequent flyers know this to be true. The windows in an airplane do not line up with the seats in an airplane. Sometimes leaves you staring at a wall. Why does that happen? Well, the seats are not placed with any real regard to where the windows are. The airline has complete control over how many rows of seats are in the cabin and how they're positioned. As you can imagine, their goal is not to give you a window, but to fit as many seats as possible.
Yep.
So that is why they don't necessarily line up. And this is a little concerning to me. Your plastic water bottle, like I have sitting over here, could be widening your waistline, like I have sitting over here.
Why?
A new study says Norwegian researchers found chemicals in common plastic products like water bottles and food packaging could put you at risk of piling on the pounds. Plastic packaging is widely used for food because it's cheap and it can increase shelf life, but plastic has thousands of chemicals, and researchers say that some of those can get into your body and affect your metabolism, therefore your weight. The Norwegian University of Science and Technology identified 629 of the chemicals, including 11 known to interfere with human metabolism. So that's who I'm blaming today for my...
There you go.
I have somebody different every day, by the way. Those chemicals, by the way, reprogram certain cells to become fat cells, which multiply more and accumulate more. Your health can be positively impacted by the amount of education your partner has, according to a new study. Oh, this is a whole different thing. I was going to say, that didn't seem right. This next story, your health can be positively impacted by the amount of education your partner has, according to a study. Previous studies show that the more formal education contribute to a better overall health, but a team of researchers from Indiana University say, this is the first study that says great education is beneficial to your partner as well. They determined that the effect of a spouse's level of education on health is positive and relatively large. The trend was particularly apparent among women. So, neat stuff. I've got that story, and I put a space between them so it's not one giant story now, in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
Aloha! Are you ready to enjoy a little slice of paradise? GMDvacations.com is a family-owned, professionally managed vacation rental in sunny Kauai, Hawaii. Your family will absolutely love the area, and the vacation rental has room for up to 6 guests. Why stay in hotel rooms when you can have your own area at a vacation rental from GMDvacations.com? Visit Hawaii with us and make your trip to this tropical paradise one to remember. On Facebook and Instagram, online at GMDvacations.com.
It's time right now for Dear John Letters.
Dear John, dear John.
I really do like this letter. And again, if you'd like to chime in with some advice for Ready to Marry My Man, you can do that on our Facebook page. But let me read the letter for you first. Here we go. Dear John, I don't know what to think right now. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 3 years. He's a great guy, and I think the world of him. I was sure he was going to ask me to get married on Valentine's Day. We talked about it towards the end of last year. He's been working extra hours and doing some side hustle stuff. He specifically told me he wanted to be able to buy a nice ring. Then in January, he asked, "What is your favorite restaurant?" And he took me there for Valentine's Day. He made the day very special, and I absolutely loved the date, but I somehow had it in my head he was going to ask me to marry him that night. I think you could tell there was something wrong. I told him I was just not feeling great. I didn't mention anything about the proposal I was expecting. I feel bad that I kind of ruined the evening by getting inside my own head about this. I don't care about some big ring. I just want to marry this man and start a family. Should I tell him that? I don't need him working extra hours for a ring. I'd rather have more time with him, and let's set a date. Any advice? I know he listens to your show. Maybe you can give him some advice. Signed, Ready to Marry My Man. First of all, I love that story. It's adorable. Do you want to say something first, or do you want me to say what I was going to say?
Well,
I've got a
when
speech.
he mentions that he's working extra hours to buy you a better ring, that would be the time to say, I don't need a big fancy ring. I just want to marry you. I don't think you should bring it up and push him, because if he's not quite ready, he's not quite ready, for sure. But maybe he doesn't intend to ask you on some cliche
There you go.
day.
That's what I was going to say.
Maybe he wants it to be a special day for just the two of you.
Exactly.
And maybe he will surprise you at a time that you're least expecting it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Wow. You said what I was going to say, kind of, sort of. Here's the thing that I will say. You guys, I don't know if you know this lady over here, she's my wife. She and I have been married 22 years. You know what I did? I was a dummy. I married her. No, I'm not.
You better finish that sentence.
I'm not done with the sentence. I married her a few days before Valentine's Day. If I could change one thing, I would change when we got married. Because I kind of feel like every year you get ripped off. It's like Valentine's and our anniversary get lumped together every year. I may have paused in the wrong spot there. It's not on purpose. Sorry. But I think if you want, again, here's the thing. Maybe he wants to make sure that he doesn't make that same mistake. He wants to have this a super special thing. It deserves its own day. And, you know, everybody else does the Valentine's. And I'm not saying, if anybody that did that, I don't want you to think, oh, wow, well, you did the wrong thing. We proposed on Valentine's. No, Christmas, Valentine's are two
Whatever
huge
day
days.
you do it is great. But
now you'll have that special Valentine's memory and a whole different one. You guys have already talked about it. He wants to marry you. I wouldn't rush him. And, dude, if you're listening, she's ready to marry you. She's already said she doesn't need the huge ring. So I think the two of you guys just need to chat and say, you know, first of all, again, I would let him ask you if he's working on that. But get on the same page. And I would even just tell him, you don't need to write a letter to us. I'd tell him, you know, I don't need a huge ring. I'm ready to marry you. I want to have kiddos. Right. I want to get on with her life. I want to do all of that. And dude, if you're listening, come up with a really cool way to ask her. Maybe that'll be a Dear John letter.
Or just ask her and keep it intimate.
Oh, that's probably better.
Because some girls don't like that big, embarrassing, everybody's looking at me thing. That would be mortifying for me.
I saw a YouTube video of exactly that, where there was a guy who was at a baseball game, and they did the big, you know, Jumbotron thing, and will you marry me? And she said no. And I felt so bad for him, for her.
I wouldn't have said no,
everybody.
but I just don't like a bunch of people looking at me. So
that
it could be a bad idea to do something big and flashy, but make it special.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It doesn't have to be flashy, but it has to be special to her.
Yep.
And again, I think if you'd like to chime in with advice, you can do it as well. But my advice would be this: just hold your horses. I bet he's working on something special. You know, he was asking you for your favorite place for Valentine's Day. That's a separate thing than an engagement. And now you'll have two special days instead of just one. So if I could change anything about marrying this gorgeous woman next to me over here, I would have picked a different time. I would have picked a few days after Valentine's Day instead of a few days before.
Half-price chocolate.
I could have got half-price chocolate every year. I picked the worst time of the year. Everything's so expensive when it's time for our anniversary. I want a do-over. Can I get a do-over? Can we get married again? No. All right. If you'd like to chime in with advice, you can do that at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
At bettercreditcards.com, our mission is to help you get a better credit card. Why pay more interest than you need to? We have cards with amazing points and perks. If you're not a point person and just want the lowest interest rate, you can find those too at bettercreditcards.com. You can also find credit cards designed to help you build your credit. BetterCreditCards.com wants to help you get a better credit card. Give yourself a little credit at BetterCreditCards.com. That's BetterCreditCards.com.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
It took the editors of the Oxford English Dictionary 5 years to reach the word ant. Ant, A-N-T. 5 years just to get to that word.
Wow.
So that's how much stuff is before the word ant. It's a lot of
Holy
stuff.
cow.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Ben and Jerry originally wanted to start a bagel company. They ended up with ice cream because they couldn't afford a bagel machine.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Forrest Mars, the creator of M&M's and peanut M&M's, was allergic to peanuts.
Really?
Yeah, how weird is that? And
I love peanut
Our
M&Ms.
final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Before it was downsized from 64 ounces to 50 ounces, the 7-Eleven Double Big Gulp was 50% larger than the volume of the typical human stomach.
Oh, jeepers.
So, yeah, 64 ounces, and the typical human stomach is 32 ounces. So,
Jeepers.
yeah, they're like, yeah, you don't need that much. So they dropped it down to 50. Why not 32? That is a couple of fun facts for you. Now you know. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
It's Bernie Carrick, former New York City Police Commissioner. If you own a gun, you need to check out StopBoxUSA.com, the safest solution to keep a firearm in your home and get instant, reliable access to that gun. It's an awesome weapon retention product, especially if you have little kids at home or frequent visitors. Get access to your gun in under a second. StopBox is the safest solution to keep a firearm in your home.
Use discount code RADIO to save 10% at StopBoxUSA.com.
You need to check out StopBoxUSA.com.
Now, a news headline from somewhere in this world, Dateline, China. Condoms available to athletes at the Olympic Games, but hugging is discouraged. Wait a minute, what? So they're saying, hey, you guys have these, but don't hug anybody.
Gosh.
Organizers are keeping up with the tradition of making condoms available to Olympians despite detailed social distancing guidelines aimed at curbing the spread of COVID-19 within the closed loop, which is the Olympic Games. They're going on right now, by the way. An email from Beijing officials say all Olympic-related units will be provided with quantities of condoms for free. But they also say you're supposed to
please don't
keep
use
your
them.
distance. Don't hug anybody. Don't touch anybody. But I'm not sure why they're
That is so
still
interesting.
I guess they do it all the time, so that's probably why they're doing it. But that just seems odd. The games will be going through the 20th of February. That is a news headline from somewhere in this world.
The Vegas Travel Center is offering 3 days and 2 nights accommodations to Vegas. They'll completely waive the package price. Plus, you get tickets to your choice of activities as well as meals. Jump on this now. Obviously, a deal like this isn't going to last. When they're gone, they're gone. So don't miss out. Just call 605-210-5220 and they'll get you set up for a great getaway. Call now for this special radio offer. 605-210-5220. That's 605-210-5220.
Now some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. An 85-year-old man in India is being investigated after he claims to have received 11 COVID-19 vaccines in less than a year. Retired postman stopped from getting what he claimed would have been his 12th shot.
Why?
Although it's unclear how his vaccination marathon reached authorities, it is believed that he boasted about the positive effects of his health and the repeated jabs. Somebody tipped off police, according to this. He claims the COVID-19 vaccine, he's 85, keep in mind, have made his ailments, many of them considered normal for his age. He made all those ailments go away. He's like, I feel better than I've ever felt. So that is so bizarre. I've got the story if you want to read it. I don't have any more information than what I just told you.
Yeah.
Does that seem weird to you, though?
Why would you want that many?
I don't know. He was going in for his 12th. So I've got a link to the story, all of the details in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
John and Heidi.
Time now for the list, brought to you by bettercreditcards.com. You've heard abbreviations, right?
Yeah.
Like LOL.
Yes.
For laugh out loud. Well, there's a whole bunch of abbreviations. I have a list here of incorrect abbreviations. So TMI, what does that mean?
Too much information.
According to this list, it means too many idiots. IMHO, according to this list, is my hearing aid on? I don't think that's right.
Okay.
ASAP, add salt and pepper. IKR means I know Ralph. I think it really means I know, right? What else on here? YOLO, you overthink life obsessively. How about ADHD? We've all heard of that, right?
Yes.
ADHD, according to the incorrect abbreviation list, Americans don't hate donuts. You're not wrong.
That is true.
And there's a couple other on the list that I'm not going to read because I can't say those words on the radio.
Oh.
So, oh, yeah. If you want to see the list, it's in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
Aloha! Are you ready to enjoy a little slice of paradise? GMDvacations.com is a family-owned, professionally managed vacation rental in sunny Kauai, Hawaii. Your family will absolutely love the area, and the vacation rental has room for up to 6 guests. Why stay in hotel rooms when you can have your own area at a vacation rental from GMDvacations.com? Visit Hawaii with us and make your trip to this tropical paradise one to remember. On Facebook and Instagram, online at GMDvacations.com.
Time now for your quote of the day. It comes your way courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. This is from a guy by the name of Jim Carrey as he portrayed Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Ah, one of my favorites.
And this is actually one of my favorite lines from that movie. I watched this in the theater and I laughed at this way more than anyone else did because it's just a dumb line. But he says, if I'm not back in 5 minutes...
Just wait longer.
Just wait longer. I just thought that was so funny. I laughed so hard, and everybody else was looking at me like, it's not that funny. I'm like,
It was funny.
Did you think it was funny?
I thought it was funny.
That was hilarious. If I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer. That is your quote of the day. You can submit a quote of the day, by the way, if you'd like. I love it when people do that. You can find a little spot at the bottom of the page at johnandheidishow.com. This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. What an amazing story. It's from a couple weeks ago. I guess our good news comes your way courtesy of GMDvacations.com. And the story, 80-year-old man walks through a blizzard to rescue stranded motorists. How cool is that?
Wow.
This guy's 80 years old. He could be home just enjoying nice, warm weather.
Certainly could have.
Shannon St. Ange thought she could get home from work before the storm hit, but that didn't happen. She's in Canada. Yesterday, the Weather Network said there was a warning of a blizzard. She thought she'd take off a little bit early, grabbed takeout for the kids, filled the gas, replaced a broken charger, and then hit the road. But what happened wasn't so great. The conditions hit quicker. She ended up getting stranded. It says just as the pavement turned to gravel, the wind picked up. Visibility started to diminish. And she found herself stranded. So she pulled over, called 911. Operator suggested to wait out the storm. Well, she couldn't do that. She's like, how am I going to do that? That's tomorrow. So anyway, an 80-year-old farmer ended up walking out with a lantern to help this lady, to guide her back to his house.
Wow,
where his
what a guy.
70-year-old wife greeted the lady with a hot pot of coffee and some homemade applesauce. Is that the coolest thing ever? Said it took 7 of us. There were 7 people stranded, a whole bunch of different people that were stranded there. And this guy came out with a lantern in a blizzard and led all of these people to safety. It says, in the end, we all made it home safely, and I have never hugged my kids tighter. Everybody would have done the same thing, the man said. You don't think about it, you just do it. So I think that's really cool. The 80-year-old man is like, it's not a big deal. Everybody would have done that. Well, not everybody, Andre. You did, and I'm glad you did. You probably saved some lives there. It's a really cool story. I've got a link to it in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday.